What's up, y'all? It's Black and White Country here again, and we're back in the shop, the glorious shop. And today I'm going to talk to y'all about some grinder wheels. We got some flap wheels. We got some wheels that came with the grinders. We got hard rocks. We got cutoff wheels. And this is just the bolt that I use to I run all the wheels through this bolt so that way they can stay on there. First, we'll talk about the wheels that come with your grinder. This is the one that came with my Makita. It's a masonry disc. I talked about that in another video, why that was kind of funny. But usually with a hard rock is what you're going to get with a grinder. This one came with that Craftsman that I reviewed. I used that wheel during that test when I just fired it up and used it, and it seems to be alright. You can see it's got like stitching in it. What looks like a stitching, that's the glass fiber or the nylon or something. It's the reinforcement in it, keeps it all together. It's a good wheel, but it's interesting how these two wheels are the exact same. These two came from Porter cable grinders that I bought. Actually, I think one of those came from one of my dad's grinders when he bought it. He bought a cordless one. You can see here that these wheels are quite literally the same. They have a different coating on the bottom. This one seems kind of like paper. This one just seems kind of like the material. And it's interesting to me how the grinding wheel that you get with the grinder is generally, let's try to find one that's not used, is generally different than one that you buy at a store. For grinding wheels, I'm pretty partial to the Warrior stuff. I got Warrior flap discs and Warrior hard rocks, and they hold up for me. I've talked about it in other videos. I got a 10-pack of these when I started welding school, and I didn't use hardly any of them, and I used them a lot. I mean, they hold up. They're not nearly as good as the Makitas, but they're still pretty good. Hard rocks are obviously, hard. These are very, very abrasive for taking off the most material possible as quickly as possible with a 4-inch wheel. These are 24 grit. Also interesting to me how the wheels you get with grinders don't ever mention what their grit is. They just say type 27. Same with this one, type 27. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but a grinding wheel will specify on it, for all grinder wheels, all wheels that you can get for a grinder. It'll specify the Arbor size, right there. If it'll focus you fuck. Anyways, it says 7/8 Arbor size. It'll say the grit. It'll say what it's made for. It's a 24 grit metal. It'll say how thick it is, 1/4 inch thick. You can get them. I've seen 3/16. I've seen 1/4 inch. I haven't seen any thicker than that, I don't think. I've seen 1/8 ones. 1/8 ones are really good for if you're actually prepping out like a test plate to like grind out especially if you're doing like an open root. And it'll say the max RPM. And these ones are 13,200. This Porter cable is rated for 13,300. Is that really a big deal? No. These flap discs are rated for 13,500. And the 7-inch wheels for the grinder I had in the last video were rated for way less, like 5,000 RPM. They do a completely different thing. But the hard rocks are really for taking off the most material possible in the shortest amount of time. Now, if you got something a little thinner or you don't want to take too much out of it, I recommend using a flap disc. The thing about flap discs is that they do not last nearly as long as cutoff wheels do. And I've seen these things get down to where they are so smooth. And this one's pretty much there. This thing is very smooth. And this one has a little bit more meat left in it. This one is brand new. And you can see why they call it a flap disc. Because it is just flaps of sandpaper laid over into a circle. Like so. Oh, and you can get different... I'm sure you can get different abrasiveness for hard rocks. I've really only seen 24 grit. But I know you can with the flap discs. Like all three of these are 40 grit. And usually they'll be color coded. These are all blue, so they're 40 grit. This one is, well, it looks gray on this side, but you flip it over and it's red. Or burgundy. And this one is a 60 grit. Metal, you know. And, little known fact, these things actually will do a number on wood. If you wanted to smooth out a piece of wood, like say you were making a handle for something like this. This was a sledgehammer handle, and it, you know, we followed it down on the belt sander out there. But this, you could do that. You could do that with one of these. I wouldn't do it with one of these with a hard rock because it'll pack up in there and it's not really good for it. Okay, now we're gonna go on to the metal cutoff wheels. This is a Diablo. It's actually, you know, made out of metal. And you can see it's got diamond rim, 100%, 100 times longer life, 7/8 Arbor. That's also a thing, you know, the Arbor size is this hole. This hole is 7/8. It's made to fit, you know, a grinder like this or like the one down there. Those are both 7/8 Arbors. And don't get the 5/8. They don't have nearly the amount of selection of all the different types of wheels as the 7/8 stuff does. Unless your grinder has 5/8 Arbor, don't buy them. The only other type of wheels that I don't have are wire wheels, and those are pretty self-explanatory. It's just a wire brush, but it's on a wheel. And those are great for moving slag and rust and paint. They do okay with powder coat, and they're not the best. You know, these are some more these are some more cutoff wheels. You know, as you can see, it says 4 angle grinders. It's 4.5 inches. It's a 1/16 thick. So this does the exact same thing that does. It doesn't actually cut. It just abrades away. It's just wearing a smaller hole. This will cut a 1/4 inch thick gap into a piece of metal. It'll take it a while, but it'll do it. If you want to cut something, just get one of these. I have seen cutoff grinding combos. Really all it is just an 1/8 inch grinding wheel. So these are 16s. You don't want to run these things if they're cracked or busted. You can. It's not very safe. But yeah, and 7/8 Arbor size, and somewhere on here it should say what it's. Yeah, Type 27. So I reckon Type 27 is probably the material it's made out of. These are all made out of the aluminum oxide. Same shit. These Diablos don't say what their RPM rating is. At least I don't see it on here. But I have not had a problem with them flying apart. Thing about these wheels, I've seen some of these that do cut really well, but they cost like $100. These things do work well. They do cut. They're just super slow. They last 100 times longer, but they take 100 times longer to cut. Literally. This is an Avanti wheel. I don't mind the Avanti wheels. I'm a little partial to these, you know, these Diablo wheels. I like the Diablo wheels. They're a good price, and they're a good wheel, and they last, you know, a reasonably long time. I had one down here on the floor. Like, this one has been worn down pretty far, but it's still, you know, I would take it down to like that far. I would take it down as far as it'll go. Like Look at this one. Look at how much this one was cut down. Even smaller than this one. Put that on there for comparison. So you can run these things for as long as you want to, but they get smaller in diameter with every revolution. Because not only are they abrading away at the material, they're abrading away at themselves. This one will not abrade away at itself. It will just abrade away at the material, which is probably one of the reasons why it doesn't cut very well. But back to this Avanti wheel. This Avanti wheel was a 7-inch that I used on my old 7-inch grinder. It was a 7, but you know, as you can see, it is just slightly bigger than this 4. That's a really important thing. If you have a 7-inch grinder and a 4-inch grinder, take these once this wheel gets too small to use on the 7-inch, put it on, use it again on your 4-inch grinder, and you got a whole new wheel. You know, that's just saving you time and money and everything else. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I try to do, you know, cool videos, interesting stuff, review some tools, talk about stuff that other people may not have talked about. But I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next one.